It seems we are still in the renaissance period of survival horror, with new releases from both large and small studios continually emerging in this action-adventure subgenre. Over the past 7 years, several fantastic games have came out, along with quite a few that are simply enjoyable. However, there are also bad ones, or those that focus more on audiovisual nostalgia rather than good design. Based on my initial impressions and the demo version, I expected Crow Country to fall into the latter category. Fortunately, the game turned out to be very enjoyable. Since this is a true survival horror game, you can immediately imagine that the game world is interconnected. As you explore and find important items for solving puzzles and problems, passwords, new weapons and weapon upgrades to progress further in the story, resources are limited and you can often avoid confrontations with enemies. The game world isn't very large, but there is only one significant point near the end of the game, after which you can't go back. Until then, you will often need to return to previously explored rooms. This backtracking is particularly well done here, because the game world continually updates with new enemies and traps, meaning you always need to be vigilant, so I especially like the idea of adding traps to the list of obstacles, which complements the typical gameplay of the genre wonderfully. The most unique aspect of the game is probably its camera perspective and visual style, reminiscent of Final Fantasy VII and Little Big Adventure. Although, I'm glad I was wrong and the game doesn't solely rely on these elements and understands the importance of great gameplay. This approach doesn't improve the game. As a result, all the combat aspects of the project suffer from this decision. Not to the extent that it makes the game bad, but when games like Heaven Dust or its sequel show how such a perspective can be implemented, it's still a bit disappointing that the developers choose to do things differently. What was an unexpected surprise for the storyline, even in genre games with big budgets, the story and characters are usually very primitive, with Silent Hill remaining the main example of how to do it right for quite some time. In Crow Country, the story doesn't have the usual elements of psychological horror or very complex and adult issues, but the plot and narration are very enjoyable. The story is quite strange, sometimes almost comedic, but very well written with several unexpected twists near the end. I didn't think Crow Country would be a fun game. Stylish, interesting and usual, yes, but it turned out that playing it is really fun. In the New Game Plus mode, you can access to the fun new tools, making replaying the game even more enjoyable and faster. There is even a mode where you can focus solely on the puzzles and story, so there is no reason not to try this game, even just to see if you like it. While I can't say my recommendation is very strong and that you must buy this game right now, it is the kind of project that could have come out in the late 90s or early zeros, when all the beloved classics of the genre were being released and it would still be remembered today. Unlike many other contemporary projects that are quite enjoyable but would easily get lost in the shadow of the classics.